Today, the Vice President Kamala Harris speaking in Indianapolis as the keynote speaker to the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Convention. WHAS11 News is there covering it as Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, remains in play as a possible running mate pick. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Shay McAllister. Today was not a designated campaign stop, but the vice president gave remarks similar to what you might hear on the campaign trail.
In this moment, I believe we face a choice between two different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. And with your support, I am fighting for our nation's future.
Vice President Harris is not the official Democratic nominee yet. That won't be announced until the Democratic convention.
Right now, our senior reporter, Isaiah Kim Martinez, is live in Indianapolis along with photojournalist Alyssa Newton. And Isaiah, listening to this at the moment, she's still technically the vice president, but you heard her use some language that certainly sets up a presidential campaign in the coming months.
Well, Doug, no doubt about it. It was very clear from the start that Vice President Kamala Harris was embracing her position as the presumptive Democratic nominee. It was a relatively short speech, 15 minutes, straight to the point, and she mentioned her opponent by name one time, specifically as it relates to abortion rights.
You know, when he was president, Donald Trump, former president, handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court, because he intended for them to overturn Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did.
In just her second address on the road since getting President Biden's blessing to lead the Democratic ticket, Vice President Kamala Harris zeroed in on a promise.
Well, let me tell you something. When I am president of the United States, and when Congress passes a law to restore those freedoms, I will sign it into law.
The cheers of 6,000 Soros of Zeta Phi Beta, a historically black sorority booming in Indianapolis.
We are not playing around.
Harris sharing a mix of her personality along with her priorities if elected. The VP drew a harsh contrast between herself and the Trump campaign.
I believe we face a choice between two different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. We must also recognize there are those who are trying to take us backward.
After Harris's address, I talked to Tyrion Robertson from Atlanta. She tells me she was moved by the vice president's words.
She will have my vote.
What part of her message stood out to you the most?
Us coming together, getting more of the black cultures to come out and vote, be voters. Coming together and building a community of stronger women.
Hector Lewis of Jackson, Mississippi, was a vendor at the event. How do you feel about her energy and what she brings with her?
I think the country is full of a younger generation of people, so they're out of touch with a lot of the politicians that are sitting in position now. So she brings a younger energy, but maturity, because she's just old enough and just young enough at the same time to do the job.
And as you can see, folks are still here today getting out of a separate event. Obviously, the vice president is long gone off to Houston, Texas. But Doug, Shay, later on tonight, we're going to talk about the vice president's active search for a VP pick, a running mate. We know Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is on a short list being vetted at this time. But does his popularity carry outside of the state? Do people from elsewhere know his name? We did a round of interviews to find out. That's coming up right here at 6 o'clock. Doug, Shay.
All right, look for that story at 6. Thank you, Isaiah. Well, the Associated Press gathered the delegate votes confirmed for Harris right now. The candidate needs at least 1,976 votes to officially be the nominee. And as you can see on your screen, Harris is well past that point at the moment. She has racked up more than 3,000 unofficial delegates.
Meanwhile, on the Republican side of the race, former President Donald Trump is campaigning in battleground state North Carolina today. It is his first event since President Joe Biden dropped out of the race, despite the former president's flurry of social media posts suggesting he's frustrated with the change of course. Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, insists that the campaign is unfazed. Vance using a familiar pitch to voters, going after Harris's involvement in the Biden administration.
I have people who've worked for me who make good salaries and they can't afford to buy a house in the Kamala Harris economy.
Next, Vance is scheduled to attend a campaign fundraiser for Trump that is on Saturday in Minnesota.
Well, tonight, President Joe Biden will be addressing the nation from the Oval Office on his decision to withdraw from this race. It's going to be the first time he's had a public address since deciding to stop his campaign and since he's been recovering from COVID. He's also going to set out to discuss how he's going to finish the job in the last few months of his presidency. You can watch the address live right here. Special coverage from ABC News tonight at 8 on WHAS 11. If it looks a little different there to you, we're unveiling our new weather team image here tonight, WHAS 11's Weather Impact Team. We're getting ready to tell you all about that and the impact that it will have and giving you first alerts down the road.
Yeah, some new music, a new look, new brand here, if you will.
An updated Ben?
Yeah, that's right, a WHAS 11 Weather Impact Team here for you. It all centers around weather impact alert days. And when we give these alerts, it might not just be for severe weather. Of course, guys, if we have severe weather, we're going to alert you to that. But this might be something where you might have to shift your schedule. If your watermelons are threatened, Doug, we will give you this alert so that you are ready to go. You might have to adjust your plans. This is basically a more focused way to forecast here for you. So our promise is to keep you prepared when that impactful weather might hit, what the impact will be, and what you need to do to prepare. It's not just here on air on WHAS 11, but WHAS11.com will have a new look as well. When we have these alerts, you'll have more tools there up front on the main page. And I also encourage you to download the WHAS 11 app, where that might be the first place where you get the weather impact alerts with a push notification.
This is very important because we'll be able to give people alert days. Explain that.
Yeah, so again, it doesn't have to be severe weather, whether it's tornadoes or things like that, but it might be some more minor inconveniences, some nuisances that might still impact your commute or if you're going out to a big event. So be prepared for today. We're not seeing any weather alerts out there needed because we just have a couple of teeny tiny showers as we look live here with our WHAS 11 U of L Health Camera Network, our Belmont Senior Village camera as we look off to the north. Just a couple cumulus clouds out there with some of that haze. Definitely feels like summertime. We've made it to 88. That is the exact forecast high we gave you yesterday with a feels like temperature at 90 degrees. So it is typical late July and early August heat out there. A little change to our north. Notice this front. It is sparking some showers and thunderstorms near Interstate 70 and Indianapolis. Some of this is going to weaken as it approaches our area, but this front is going to drop to the Ohio River around sunrise tomorrow morning and keep an isolated shower in that forecast through the late night hours. Right now, had a shower in Oldham County fizzle out to nothing, so nothing over the metro area. Near Wheeler Hollow, north of Salem and right around Salem, we've got a couple of these little showers in Washington County and Indiana. As we move over to Futurecast, again, can't rule out a couple of these showers, a few heavy downpours possible through the nighttime. No severe weather expected with this. And tomorrow, that front will be over Kentucky, so Kentucky has a better chance. A few of these pop-ups drier over the northern half of the area in Indiana. So isolated shower chance tonight in that forecast. Lower 80s at lunchtime tomorrow, and your high temperature up to 88 for tomorrow afternoon. We can't get used to these 80s though. We've got some higher heat we're going to look at coming up in your full weather impact forecast.
Ben, thank you very much. And just in moments ago from the Jefferson County Clerk's office, they're going to be closed again in Louisville tomorrow. All offices and branches. The crippling ransomware attack has now forced the clerk to figure out a new plan, as we heard from Bobby Holzclaw for the first time today since the big shutdown.
And still, there is some good news. She doesn't believe your personal information has been impacted, and Jefferson County customers are allowed to get their services in neighboring counties. Jose Alonso and photojournalist Emma Gefter sat down with Bobby Holzclaw today to talk about what they're doing to resolve this problem.
Across the Louisville Metro, county clerks' offices are still closed, leaving customers concerned about what's going on.
So the regular customer, the everyday Louisvillian that is going to the county clerk's office to get things done, they shouldn't have to feel worried about their social security number.
Absolutely not. And that's the last thing I want them to be concerned about, because none of that was touched.
Host Claus says this attack forced everyone out of their system, and they don't believe personal information was compromised. The agency has backup systems locking away that data, and they're taking this attack as a learning opportunity.
There was just nothing that we could have done to stop this. But, you know, I can only hope that the customer knows that throughout the years that we've really taken pride in our customer service, and that once we get up and running, we'll be back to our same way.
The clerk's office doesn't have a date on when they expect to reopen. In Louisville, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 on your side.
Experts tell us large entities like government agencies are common targets for cyber attacks, as they like to try to get thousands or even millions of dollars in exchange for that stolen information, or even just to get back into the system.
Again, the new information we just told you about, all the offices closed again tomorrow on Thursday. We don't know yet about Friday. The clerk went on to say that outside counties are willing to help you with motor vehicle registrations and marriage licenses. That includes counties like Bullitt and Shelby and, of course, Oldham.